Evening, everyone. Welcome to the MeanGene Show here on KDWN 720 AM, 101.5 FM here in Las Vegas. We are getting you ready for week 5 of the National Football League, which got underway Thursday night between the Los Angeles Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. So we'll talk about that. And we also talk about the big game over in London. Can't believe the NFL made it back over to London after taking a year off due to COVID-19. So we get you caught up on that. Also, if you're in Las Vegas this weekend, there's a lot to do this weekend. You got the Wilder Fury fight, which is going to take place, and then you also have the Raiders hosting the Chicago Bears. So it's a very, very busy weekend in Las Vegas. And the MeanGene Show is brought to you by Presidential Limousine by Captain. Okay, it's the official limousine service of the MeanGene Show. There's absolutely no way you can experience Las Vegas until you ride in the Presidential Limousine by Captain. So this weekend it's going to be very, very tough to get around. Transportation, Uber drivers are going to be busy. There's just so much happening in the city. So, hey, if you haven't already made your reservations, you better get your limo now before the big stars in town take up all the limos. So call Presidential Limousine by Captain, 702-438-5466. 702-438-5466. You can also text them 702-410-6057. 702-410-6057. They will respond to you right away. The show is also brought to you by the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Experience the award-winning Soul of Motown. It's a high-energy concert-style musical tribute celebrating Motown legends. If you like that Motown music from back in the day, you got to see this show, and you can call them for reservations, 888-796-3564, 888-796-3564. All right, last week I went 11-5 on my picks, okay, so I'm hoping to do better this week, although I'm not off to a good start because thanks to the Rams running my pick, I actually picked the Seattle Seahawks to win on my Podbean live streaming show, so I have to be honest about that, so I'm already off to a bad start here, but the Los Angeles Rams improved to 4-1. Seahawks dropped to 2-3. They are now last place in the NFC West. Russell Wilson sprained his finger, so he had to be taken out of the game. Geno Smith entered the game. Geno didn't do too bad considering he actually came out there and drove for a touchdown right away. So he was 10 of 17, 131 yards, 1 interception, 1 touchdown. So Russell Wilson was 11 of 16, 152 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. So Russell Wilson, the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, is going to get medical attention, and we shall see if he's going to be able to play their next game. So we have to keep an eye on that. But give it up to the Rams. I mean, they came out and just had a hell of a game. Matthew Stafford continues to just throw that ball. I mean, 365 yards in the air last night, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. But he had Robert Woods running and working. Robert Woods, 12 receptions, 150 yards. No touchdowns, ironically, but still, he had 14 targets. I mean, he was just, man, he was the man. Cooper Kupp, 7 receptions, 92 yards. Deshaun Jackson even got in on some of the action. And Darrell Henderson. They used Darrell Henderson and Sony Michel. Both of those guys, both running backs, got touchdowns in that game Thursday night with the Seahawks. So, Rams, and I guess they just have to figure out a way, to beat the Cardinals, I guess. They're going to have another rematch there, but very interested in that NFC West. So we have a lot of games to cover today, so we are not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right into these games. The first game, which will take place over at the Tottenham Stadium in London, England, the New York Jets versus the Atlanta Falcons. So it's good to see the NFL is back over in London. They took a year off after COVID-19 sort of slowed everything down. But everyone's over there. The Jets are there. The Falcons are there. So it should be an interesting game. Now, it's going to be an early game. Oh, my goodness, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. So, hey, you have to get up. You have to get up and get that game out the way. And if you're making your bets, of course, you gotta get your bets done Saturday night so you can be ready for the Sunday morning game. The early Sunday morning game. New York Jets 1-3 at the Falcons 1-3. So Jets win their first game of the season. Congratulations to Robert Saleh. Got that win in overtime over Tennessee. Tennessee's a pretty good team, so they got the win 27-24. Zach Wilson got his first win as a rookie, so that's encouraging. The Falcons, on the other hand, they lose to the Washington football team by a score of 34-30, which I can't ever really tell with the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know. When I pick them, they lose. When I don't pick them, they win. So, and I have to look at my cheat sheet here because I got to make sure I'm consistent here. I say the Jets win again. I got the Jets winning again, and it's no home field advantage there. All of those fans over in England, they just like football. But I think the Jets, I think it's going to be an advantage. Let's say that they are closer to England than the Falcons, right? So maybe I make the Jets the home team. That's why the Jets should get the win and get their second win of the season. Next game, Philadelphia Eagles 1-3 at the Carolina Panthers 3-1. So Christian McCaffrey, the word on him is that he says that he's feeling good. So we should see what that equates to come game time. If he's going, just because they're feeling good don't mean they're going to play good. But the Carolina Panthers, they lose to the Dallas Cowboys last week, 36-28. Dallas pretty much controlled that game throughout, even though the Panthers made a close run there. Sam Darnold is still looking pretty good. 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, because he had a couple of picks there last week against the Cowboys. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Eagles, they lose last week to the Kansas City Chiefs 42-30, and then they let the Cowboys beat them 41-21, I think, something like that. So there you go, some 83 points that defense has given up there. Not sure what's going on. Jalen Hurts, he had a career high, 387 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. But it just seems like the defense is really causing the Eagles to lose games. I mean, that's a lot of points to give up in back-to-back games. So I am going to pick the Carolina Panthers to get back on track. I think, it's not the panic button because they lost to a good Dallas Cowboy football team, okay? But I don't think it's any reason to think that they're not going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And the game is going to be in Charlotte, by the way, at the Bank of America Stadium. So I like the Panthers in this game. All right, the next one, the Green Bay Packers 3-1 at the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals also 3-1. This game is going to be played at Paul Brown Stadium right there in Cincinnati. Bengals get the win the last Thursday night game over the Jacksonville Jaguars. They won 24-21. And, man, what a record there, 3-1. They are first place there in the AFC North division. That's the division with the Steelers and the Ravens and the Cleveland Browns. So just a surprising start for the season for the Bengals. Meanwhile, the Green Bay Packers, they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 27-17 last week. And Aaron Rodgers passed for 248 yards, 2 touchdowns in that game. So I got the Packers winning this game. I just think the Packers they just have too many weapons there. You got Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, the running back there, running the ball pretty damn good. You also have Devontae Adams and Randall Cobb and Robert Tonyan. So, and their defense is not really playing that bad. So the Devondre Campbell led the team with 9 tackles in week 4. So, and Eric Stokes. So they, you don't really talk about Green Bay's defense that much, but they are, doing pretty good and played very well against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I got the Packers winning the game on Sunday. Next game, New England Patriots 1-3 at the Houston Texans 1-3. So the records of these teams are just nothing that you should get excited about, but it will be interesting to see how both teams respond after losing in week 4. The Houston Texans, they got beat bad by the Buffalo Bills 40-0, and you rarely see an NFL team not put up a point. But, the Buffalo Bills, they did the same thing to the Miami Dolphins. I think the week prior, they beat them, 35-0 or something like that. So it's going to be interesting to see. The game is in Houston at NRG Stadium. It's going to be interesting to see how the Texans rebound from that. Meanwhile, the Patriots, everyone was so excited about the return of Tom Brady, who came to town. And, it wasn't the most spectacular game. I think the hype was probably bigger than the game itself. The weather wasn't cooperating at all. It was a rainy day there in New England. The Patriots lose that game 19-17. So the close game though, and Mac Jones, he completed 31 of 40 passes, which was a not too bad. 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had a pick also. But he's leading all rookies in completions right now, and that's pretty interesting. A little stat that no one really look at. You got a lot of rookie quarterbacks out there playing, but he has the nod there when it comes to completions. 112, not bad at all. But I think the Patriots get back on track. They win this game. I don't know how the Texans are going to recover from that type of a whipping now. David Culley seems to have, the confidence of the locker room and everything. So they really believe in him. But man, that changes, when you start losing games like that, especially the way the Bills handle them. So you got the rookie Davis Mills there who is trying to improve with each game. But man, that was a major setback last week. So I got the Patriots winning this game and possibly improving to 2-3. Next game, Tennessee Titans 2-2 at the Jacksonville Jaguars 0-4. So I guess we got to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? Man, what more of a distraction can Urban Meyer be for this team? He does not have the locker room. As a matter of fact, how he mishandled the situation involving the incident at his restaurant there, where the lady was giving him a lap dance for the most part. So the Jacksonville Jaguars ownership came out and reprimanded him in public. Urban Meyer apologized to the position coaches in a separate meeting, and it was days before he addressed the team. So he has since addressed the team. But man, some of the comments coming from the players there, this is a dangerous situation for Urban Meyer, because if that team gives up on him, they're already 0-4, right? And I don't know when and how they're going to get their first win, but he needs it like quick. He needs it Sunday, of course, to get rid of some of the negativity that's coming this way. But it's all self-inflicted. Players don't like that, because when players go out and do things and get in trouble, they get suspended, get swift action taken against them. And you got Urban Meyer, who, he didn't do anything wrong. I guess morally is what he did wrong. But, even players, when they make moral bad decisions, they are criticized heavily. So this could be an interesting situation. Now, me and Dustin Pfeiffer from Bally Sports Southeast talked about Urban Meyer. Probably never should have got that job. He has just had one crazy incident after another, the Tim Tebow thing, even some of the play calling in the games that they have played. So meanwhile, and just one more thing with Jacksonville and Urban Meyer, I just and I was reading a lot of comments on social media. Even I had put something out there myself talking about, okay, this stupid incident. So how could he not know that, first of all, the lady was dancing in front of him? He made no efforts to say, excuse me, ma'am, but, please don't do that. And then, everyone knows who he is. He owns the place, right? So I guess that loss was so bad in Cincinnati last week that he just stayed around. And then to know that, with smartphones these days, everyone's got a phone out filming or taking a picture or doing something. And, and this could be just me, okay, but it seemed as if he wants to get fired. How else could you explain that behavior? But anyway, the Tennessee Titans have their own problems there. They lose to the Jets in overtime last week, and I can't really. I don't know. It just was a blah game for the Titans. Okay, so I'm expecting the Titans to get back on track. I'm expecting a big day for Henry, AJ Brown, and everyone to sort of get it together. And I know Mike Vrabel is going to have a game plan. So I got the Titans winning the game over the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it's going to really suck for Trevor Lawrence. He probably deserves better from a leadership standpoint, and he's just not going to get it from Urban Meyer. But man, what is this kid? What is his psyche going to be if he loses, 5 straight games? I mean, man, it's just an ugly situation in Jacksonville. The game, by the way, is in Jacksonville, so I'm sure people are going to be keeping an eye on that for a whole lot of reasons. The next game we have the Detroit Lions 0-4 at the Minnesota Vikings 1-3. Now, I have been trying my best to get a win for Dan Campbell and the Vikings, and yes, they almost had it against the Baltimore Ravens. Still can't believe Justin Tucker kicks that 66-yard field goal that hits the bars and bounces over, and it was good. But this Minnesota Vikings team, now we talked about the Minnesota Vikings a while back too, and we said, hey, they were on a downward trend to lose 3 in a row. They got that win, but now they've started another losing streak. They lost to the Cleveland Browns 14-7 last week. Detroit lost to the Bears 24-14. So I am going to go out on a limb again and pick the Detroit Lions because this is a division game. So this is going to be back-to-back division games for the Detroit Lions, and I really do like the team. They play some good football. They just can't, get that win. They did everything they could against Baltimore. So last week the Bears just had a better game plan and they didn't get it done. So Jared Goff, by the way, so he passed for 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and is playing decent. It's the same Jared Goff, right? But he's playing decent ball there, and thank goodness for DeAndre Swift. And Jamal Williams, so he's got some people. T.J. Hawkinson, the tight end, they probably need to use him a little bit more. But and so far through the year, he's leading all NFC tight ends in receptions. So he's doing pretty good. But they're going to have to, just continue to pound and pound and pound. And I think they get the win in Minnesota at U.S. Bank Stadium, which brings more attention back to the Minnesota Vikings and whether or not Mike Zimmer is going to remain on. Something has to give there in Minnesota. If they go 1-4, it's almost back to the statement that we had made if they had went 1-3. I mean 0-3. So which is the same thing. 1-4 does not look good. That is not a playoff record. When you look at that division, which it looked like it's going to be a one-team race as far as the Packers. Maybe the Bears turn things around. But, man, this is going to be a game worth watching. So I got the Detroit Lions upsetting the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday. The next game, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Denver Broncos. All right. So the Broncos, they lose their first game to the Baltimore Ravens. I got that pick right last week. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, they also lose to the Green Bay Packers. So let's start with the Broncos first because I got something to say about the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Broncos, this is going to be a tough game for the Broncos, having to travel across country there to Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. I'm going to say, with the Bridgewater, I think, getting a concussion. So one thing about Teddy Bridgewater is that at some point in time in the season, he will get hurt, and it shows. And then for them, Drew Lock actually came out and tried to do whatever he could do, but that Baltimore defense was just a little bit too much for Denver last week. And Denver, 3-1, still a surprising start, but I think you're probably going to get to the point in the season where you're going to see Denver probably fall off in that AFC West. It's probably going to come down to Chiefs and Raiders, Chiefs and Chargers. It's still a tight race there in that AFC West, but I just think Denver is probably the one team that, although a surprising start, I think they're going to finish where people projected them to finish. So now looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers, so what can we say that we haven't already said about the Steelers and Big Ben? Big Ben, the Steelers are giving him a lot of respect there. It's almost the same thing that happened with Eli Manning. Eli won that New York Giants franchise 2 Super Bowls. Big Ben has won the Steelers 2 Super Bowls. So how do you part ways with that? And at some point in time, Mike Tomlin has to decide when. Okay, so with a record of 1-3, If the Steelers lose Sunday to go 1-4, and depending on how Big Ben plays, when do you do that? When do you do that? And the fans, Pittsburgh Steelers fans are very loyal, and they are committed to Big Ben. But at some point in time, and I don't see Tomlin benching him unless he's just having a horrible game. Once that happens, though, then I don't know if Big Ben returns. The Steelers' backup quarterback situation is a little shaky too. They have Dwayne Haskins. They have Mason Rudolph. And man, Mason Rudolph is listed as the backup. So I don't know. And then there's the Cam Newton rumors and discussions that are being held. So who knows what's going to happen. But even with all of that, I picked the Steelers to win against the Broncos on Sunday. This is a game that's going to be played at Heinz Field. So I do believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers will get the win. I don't know. It may not be the prettiest win, but I think they should be able to get it done. And remember, Big Ben is playing with an offensive line that is just not the same. Some veterans stepped away from the Steelers. A couple of them retired. Some moved on to other teams. So it's really crazy. And this is why the running game for the Steelers is ineffective, too. I mean, you draft Najee Harris to improve the running game, but, man, you don't have an offensive line. That running game, now Najee Harris is talented enough to get past the if he gets past the line, then, he can make things happen in the open field. But, man, it's really, really tough. So I got the Pittsburgh Steelers winning the game on Sunday. All right, so we can get one more game in before the break here, before the bottom of the hour. The next game we have is the Miami Dolphins, 1-3, at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 3-1. So Buccaneers get the win over New England last week. It was not pretty. I got to think that Bruce Arians and his team have watched that game film to see, and like I said, the conditions were bad, but it was just not a great game. Tom Brady's numbers in that game, of course, now he did become the league's all-time leading passer with 80,560 yards. So that was a major accomplishment for Brady. Leonard Fournette, he actually had probably one of his best games of the season. Had 138 scrimmage yards, 91 on the ground, 47 catching. So that wasn't bad. And then Ronald Jones, the backup running back, he had his first rushing touchdown last week. So I think the Buccaneers get back on track there. They're at home at Raymond James Stadium. Meanwhile, the Miami Dolphins, Jacoby Brissett, man, Miami's just in an interesting situation. You got Deshaun Watson still out there. Don't know when and if that trade is going to go down, but it's certainly something that's being talked about. The Miami Dolphins lose to the Indianapolis Colts last week. So Colts win their first game. They lose 27-17. So, Jacoby Brissett goes out and does yeoman's work for the most part. He completed 20 of 30 attempts there for 199 yards, 2 touchdowns. No picks, but just, a good solid performance from him. That's basically what he averages. And the running back, Malcolm Brown, he had a touchdown, and he's actually been having, he's had a touchdown in 2 of his past 3 on the road versus the NFC South. So I don't know if that means anything, but anyway, it was a stat that I needed to give out. So we'll see. And then they also have Myles Gaskin, they just don't have the most talented team on offense there in Miami. So I got the Buccaneers winning. I just think the Buccaneers get back on track. They get this win and continue to pound on in that NFC South and the NFC as well. So that is going to wrap it up for this first half of the show. When we come back, we will continue the NFL Week 5 predictions and analysis. You are listening to the MeanGene Show here on KDWN 720 AM, 101.5 FM, Las Vegas. And we are back, folks. Once again, you are listening to the MeanGene Show here on KDWN, 720 AM, 101.5 FM, Las Vegas. Getting you ready for week 4 of the National Football League. We have completed our first half of games that will be played on Sunday, October 3rd, 2021. And now let's go ahead and jump into the second half here of the show and our pick. So we ended with the Tennessee Titans and the New York Jets, and man, I had to think about it over the break. Like, okay, man, I want to give the Jets a win so bad. And I think, it could possibly be an upset. At least let me put that on the record. But I just don't see it. The Titans, Tannehill, Henry, Julio Jones is starting to improve with the team. And they got other receivers, too, besides Julio, because, he's going to be double teamed a lot. So Chester Rogers, he had his first touchdown of the season last week, and Nick Westbrook. So I tell you, he had 4 catches last week. And his first career touchdown. So Tannehill is already starting to see, okay, all right, I see you double teaming my boy, so let me go ahead and hit somebody else. And besides Derrick Henry, you still have the running back Jeremy McNichols, who had his first career touchdown. So when the team is just gelling like that, that's why it's just so hard to pick up against the Titans and even the Jets to scout that team, looking at, okay, we can find a way to control Henry and Julio Jones. Well, now you got other guys that are stepping up on that Tennessee team. And Tennessee is one of those teams that I picked them to win their division, which is the AFC South. That division includes the Texans and the Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts. So, go figure, right? Who should win that division? Tennessee is definitely the better team. So, once again, the show is brought to you by Presidential Limousine by Captain, the official limousine service of the MeanGene Show. Give them a call, folks. Give them a call. Get in that limo. Hey, you can do it for the fight next week. And I can tell you right now, it's going to be crowded next week. So you need to get in and make these reservations as soon as you can when all of the stars and everyone is coming to town for the big Wilder Fury fight. And not to mention, the Raiders will take on the Bears that Sunday. So it's going to be a very, very busy weekend in Las Vegas, the weekend of the 9th and the 10th. So you want to get that limo reserved right now, 702-438-5466. Or you can text them 702-410-6057. They'll respond right away. Promise you they will. We also brought to you by the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino, where you can see the award-winning Soul of Motown. And I know there are lots of shows to see in Las Vegas, but you must check this one out. Okay, it's at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Get your tickets now, 888-796-3564. That's all you need to do is call that number and make your reservations, 888-796-3564. Okay, moving right along here. No Dustin Pfeiffer this week. We try to get Dustin back on next week, but he's just probably celebrating and partying because the Carolina Panthers are unbeaten, but they got a big one against the Cowboys, and we've already made our pick on that one. And once Dustin hears this show, he's probably going to be pissed that I picked the Cowboys to beat the unbeaten Carolina Panthers. But moving right along, the Kansas City Chiefs 1-2 at the Philadelphia Eagles 1-2. So let me repeat: the Kansas City Chiefs are 1-2. They have lost back-to-back games. They're going to Philadelphia to take on the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 1-2. The Eagles, short week, man. You travel to Dallas, you get the brakes beat off you, 41-21. You go back home, and guess who's on the schedule? It's the Chiefs. The Chiefs, who have also lost back-to-back games. They lose to the Ravens the week prior, and then they lose to the Chargers at home. And man, so they're going to be pissed. The latest on Andy Reid is that he's okay. He's recovering. As you may have heard, that he was taken to the hospital after that Chargers Chiefs game last week. But Andy's doing good. Good man. Good coach all around. Just everyone loves Andy Reid, and we're glad to hear that he's doing great. Now let's talk about this game here because wow. Jalen Hurts did not look good. Uh, you can say, was it, the play calling from Nick Sirianni? Was it the Dallas Cowboys defense? Or was it Jalen Hurts? And, I kind of think it was a mixture of all three. You can't take anything away from that Cowboys defense, a much improved defense from last year. Dan Quinn is the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. He was a head coach with the Atlanta Falcons for a few years, and before that, he was a defensive guy that came from Seattle with Pete Carroll up there. So he knows defenses. So we're going to give the Cowboys credit on that. But Jalen Hurts, what adjustments will the Eagles make? And it just looked like it's going to be a runaway division by the Cowboys. The Giants, Eagles, Washington football team. They're going to be looking up at Dallas. It's just the talent is just not there. And you got to play a Kansas City team that, come on, what are the chances? And in Vegas we gamble, right? We give odds, we talk all that stuff. What are the odds that the Kansas City Chiefs would lose 3 in a row? I don't see it. There's just no way, and I tell you, well, I'll be the first one to admit I have been wrong before, but I just don't see it. And I can honestly say that, the Chiefs will get back to 500. The Eagles could possibly drop to 1-3. And what news will be coming out of Philly as far as, okay, is Jalen Hurts the future of this franchise? So you've made a lot of changes and sacrifices to prove that he is. You fired Doug Peterson. You got rid of Carson Wentz. So now what happens? So you could, put it back on coaching. But, man, so the point finger and blame game will be the top of the news come Monday, I think. Of course, now if the Eagles pull off this upset, then let's move the story over to Kansas City. And the topic will be, well, what's going on with the Chiefs? But I got the Chiefs winning. They're not going to go. They're not going to lose 3 in a row. I just don't see it. The next game we have is the Arizona Cardinals 3-0 at the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams, man, they are getting a lot of home games, huh? Must be nice. Well, that's what happens when you get the newest stadium, SoFi Stadium. Man, that place is immaculate. Can't wait to get in there. So you got 2 unbeatens, man. The Cardinals, the same Cardinals. If you heard my show before the season started, I said my surprise team, and so did Mr. Picks. I can't take all the credit because he saw something in this Arizona Cardinals team. And I agreed. I mean, and looking at Kyler Murray and how he has just improved year after year, I see something too. But I never expected them to be 3-0. But I guess this young of a season, man, they are just doing it up. So this is not only a matchup of unbeatens. This is a matchup of teams in the same division, the NFC Wild Wild West. How about that? We can call it that. Rams, they beat Tampa Bay last week, game of the week. Here they are involved in another game of the week. The Arizona Cardinals, they beat Jacksonville. Poor Jacksonville. Everybody's beating Jacksonville, right? But, man, this team is they went on the road. They back on the road again. So it's going to be tough this week, though. Back-to-back road games for this Cardinals team. It's just not going to be easy to beat the Rams and SoFi. And man, the Super Bowl is going to be at SoFi February 13th, 2022. The Rams know that. Everybody knows that, right? And, speaking of the Super Bowl, how about that halftime lineup? Oh, my goodness. At this point, we don't care who goes to the Super Bowl. Just get us to the halftime show. You have Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, and Eminem. I mean, when the last time anyone seen Dr. Dre perform? The hits, that are going to be coming out of that Super Bowl halftime. Hell, they might even forget that there's a second half of the game that's got to be played. The players might even say, hey, the hell with it. Hey, let's watch this show. I mean, it's going to be off the chain. Cannot wait. But anyway, back to this game. I got the Rams winning. I'm sorry. And it's not a knock on Arizona or, its fans, this team. I still like the Arizona Cardinals to be good. Now if they beat the Rams, oh Lordy, but watch out. But I think the Rams are going to win. This Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp thing and Robert Woods, Deshaun Jackson, man, you don't give Matthew Stafford these kind of weapons. You saw what he put Calvin Johnson in the Hall of Fame, right? Much grabbing. Calvin Johnson, Megatron, was a big dude and could catch anything. But let's not take the credit from Matthew Stafford. A wide receiver don't catch a ball if ain't nobody throwing it to him, right? And so hey, and I saw Matthew Stafford at the Hall of Fame. He was there, and him and Megatron, they reunited. Hey, you got to think that, man. He threw those passes to you that put you in the Hall of Fame. And now you give him Cooper Kupp. You give him Robert Woods, Deshaun Jackson. Man, Matthew Stafford is balling out. And I think the Rams get the win on Sunday to improve to 4-0, which is quite scary there. All right, the next game. How about it? We go from one NFC West matchup to another. This time we have the 2-1 Seattle Seahawks at the San Francisco 49ers, 2-1. So Seahawks get back-to-back road games, too. This is interesting. They lose last week to Minnesota, 30. Was it in Minnesota? No. You know what? I take that back. That game was at the 12th man, right? Yeah, it was. So Minnesota, I really didn't think about that. Minnesota went to Seattle and got the win. Nope. The game was in Minnesota. I thought I was right. Okay, but nevertheless, folks, what I'm trying to say here is that will the Seahawks get this win? And I have to say they do. I have to say that Pete Carroll get his team back on track. Russell Wilson is not having a bad year. Last week he passed for nearly 300 yards. Against the Vikings, and Carson, he rushed for 80 yards and had a touchdown. Then you got Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. So this team is still good. And the 49ers, they lose to Green Bay, 30-28. So nothing against the 49ers, nothing against Jimmy Garoppolo, and Trey Lance, the rookie, he had his first career rushing touchdown. And it was so easy how he got it, right? You take Garoppolo out for a play, you bring him in, and I don't know what the defense of Green Bay was thinking about. And Trey Lance just walked into the end zone, basically. So I think you're going to see a little bit of that mixture. They're doing a good job with rotating Garoppolo and Trey Lance. So, but and let me check my cheat sheet here. I got Seahawks winning. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that pick, okay? Got the Seahawks winning that game on Sunday. Seahawks improved to 3-1. But, man, how about that? Back-to-back NFC West matchups. You get the Rams and the Cardinals, and then you get the 49ers and the Seahawks. Real good matchups there on Sunday afternoon. All right, the next, and this is a good matchup too, AFC matchup. You got the 2-1 Baltimore Ravens at the 3-0 Denver Broncos. And yes, I did not stutter. I did not misread this. The Denver Broncos are 3-0. I couldn't be any happier for Teddy Bridgewater, knowing he got tossed out of where he was with the Saints. Did good when Drew Brees was hurt that year, and I think led the Saints on he had like 5 or 6 wins in a row. The Saints didn't drop a beat, and then he moves over to the Carolina Panthers, where he looked like he just didn't have a good outing with the Panthers. So Panthers decided they want to go into a different direction. They bring in Sam Darnold, and Teddy Bridgewater goes to Denver and has to once again reintroduce himself, right, as if he hasn't played the quarterback position. And look at this team now. I know Vic Fangio's got to be excited. Melvin Gordon, Cortland Sutton. It's a seasoned team there. Because you got the rookie running back Javonte Williams, but man, the defense is definitely seasoned with Von Miller and those guys. But and of course they picked up the rookie cornerback Patrick Surtain the second. So wow, we got to pick somebody in this game, right? The Baltimore Ravens. They win. The Baltimore Ravens are lucky. They are so freaking lucky because they could have easily been 1-2. Okay, that field goal does not go in by Justin Tucker, and we're talking a different situation there. Now the question is, are they going to come in and rebound and play better than what they did last week against Detroit? And my answer is yes. I actually have the Ravens winning this game, and not that it's a knock on the Broncos. I just think the Ravens got something to prove there. They know they should have lost last week, but hey, it's one of those games where I'm going to pick the Ravens, but I'm going to be rooting for the Broncos. How about that? That's the way that goes. It's going to be a good matchup of quarterbacks too. Lamar Jackson and Teddy Bridgewater is going to be something to watch for your Sunday afternoon game. 4:25 p.m. Eastern time. So this is a late game for Sunday. The next one we have is the Pittsburgh Steelers 1-2 at the Green Bay Packers 2-1. And you guys know I like the Steelers, right? There's no secret there. But the Pittsburgh Steelers are just having a hell of a time, and it's not all on Big Ben. The defense is just looked like they just gave up last week against Cincinnati. You let Cincinnati come in there and beat you 24-10 right there, back-to-back losses at Heinz Field. I was there when the Las Vegas Raiders went in there and beat the Steelers, and I didn't think they would lose back-to-back games at home, but they did. And they just look horrible. Big Ben does look bad. The offensive line is very inexperienced there. They lost some big-time veterans. You lost 3 veterans, maybe 4 veterans from that offensive line that has protected Ben for so many years, and this is what you get. Najee Harris had a good outing last week, but the Green Bay Packers, what can I say? I'm actually picking the Green Bay Packers to win. This was a matchup of Super Bowl contenders there, 2011. The Packers beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl there in Dallas, Arlington, Texas, and I was out there for that event. So that was they haven't Big Ben and Aaron Rodgers haven't met since. Kind of amazing, right? We're talking over 10 years ago. These two teams will match up. But I got the Packers beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, the question is, okay, how will Big Ben play will determine what direction the Steelers might have to go in as far as quarterbacks. Who will they bring in? The fan base does not want to see Mason Rudolph. Dwayne Haskins is on the roster. Do they go out and look and make a deal with Cam Newton? I tell you what, and I said this on my live streaming show on Podbean, you give Cam Newton those wide receivers that the Pittsburgh Steelers have, and Claypool and Juju and Deontay Johnson and James Washington. Cam Newton could have a field day. So I'm just saying that, and I don't think I'm the only one thinking that way. That a Cam Newton Pittsburgh Steelers signing would be a hell of a boost to the Steelers season, especially since there's so many games left, 13 more after Sunday. So it's something to consider. But I got the Packers beating the Steelers on Sunday. All right, the next game we have, and this is actually the Sunday night game, which all the hype, this game has been hyped since the schedules came out earlier in the year. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2-1 at the New England Patriots 1-2. That's what it sounds like on paper, but it's really Tom Brady versus Bill Belichick. That's just the way it is, just like the boxing match next week. Wilder versus Fury. This is Brady versus Belichick. And I don't have to give the history of what Tom Brady and the New England Patriots did together when he was a member of that team. You already know it. And the question and the hype, because, we always have to hype things up. Who was it really behind the success of the New England Patriots? Was it Tom Brady? or was it Bill Belichick? That's basically what this is going to boil down to, and that's what people are going to be talking about. So look at what happened last week. The Saints, went to Foxborough and they beat Mac Jones and the Patriots, as they should have, and as I predicted they would. And then the Buccaneers, now they're coming in with a loss also. They traveled to the Rams and lost that game to the Rams. So, Buccaneers are going to try to go in there and take care of business. And it's going to be interesting, though, because everybody knows one another. Everybody knows each other. Brady's got to be knowing what the Patriots are thinking. And they got to be knowing what Tom Brady is thinking. But Tom Brady has a different team, has a ton of weapons to throw the ball to. Gronkowski. Oh, yeah, Gronkowski comes back to town, too. How about that? And I would expect that they will probably cheer for both of those guys, even though Gronk might get a couple of boos. You might hear some, but I think Tom Brady get the ordinary, the standing ovation type thing. And then Buccaneers going to go out there and beat the brakes off of them for the most part. I mean, that's basically what's going to happen. So I got the Buccaneers improving to 3-1. The New England Patriots dropping to 1-3. And if that happens, people will be talking a little bit about, was that the right decision to let Cam Newton go? So stay tuned for those conversations, because I'm sure they're about to come up. Now it brings us down to the last game, the Monday night game. A lot of good games for Sunday, but how about this one on Monday? The Las Vegas Raiders get to play another Monday night game. Yeah, or you could just say the Chargers are playing their Monday night game, but hey, the Raiders just happen to be part of it. The 3-0 Las Vegas Raiders go into SoFi Stadium to take on the 2-1 Chargers. Chargers upset the Kansas City Chiefs last week, 30-24. Or I mean, was it an upset? We don't know if the Kansas City Chiefs are that bad this year, but the Chargers did get the win. You can't take that away from them. And how about the Raiders? They beat the Miami Dolphins, even though it was not the prettiest of wins. They get it done in overtime, which, it just shouldn't have really came down to that. If you ask a lot of people, the Raiders should have, just really been pumped and eager to just beat that team. That game, not only did it go into overtime, it came awfully close to ending in a tie. Carlson kicked the field goal there, right there late, and I do mean late, in overtime to give the Raiders the win, 31-28. Who wins this game? Well, this is an AFC West matchup. Now, I have attended a lot of Chargers-Raiders games. We're talking Oakland Raiders, LA Raiders, San Diego Chargers. Man, the fan bases for these two teams, there's no love lost between the fan bases here. Chargers and Raiders have hated each other since day one. And, I'm hoping everything will be good to go at SoFi. But, man, it's an ugly game on the field and an ugly game in the stands sometimes and in the parking lots. But let's just hope peace will prevail with the fans, and we get to see a good game. I actually got the Chargers winning. I'm so sorry, Las Vegas. I got the Chargers winning, and it's not a knock on the Raiders. I just think I got the Chargers winning this game. I like what I'm seeing with Herbert and Eckler and Allen and Mike Williams. I mean, the defense with Bosa, Asante Samuel Jr. I mean, the defense is just balling out there with the Chargers. So we should see. We are going to wrap up this show. I want you to enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Saturday. Well, I hope you enjoyed your Saturday games, but I hope you enjoy your Sunday games, and definitely get ready for Monday Night Football. All right, we'll see you back here next week on the Mean Gene Show, KDWN, 720 AM, 101.5 FM, Las Vegas.